most people first hear the name Pythagoras, they think of the Pythagorean theorem.
However, Pythagoras has a bigger story than you might imagine.
He had some interesting views on life and was well known not only as a mathematician but also as a philosopher.
Pythagoras' full name was Pythagoras of Samios. It is believed that he was born in 570 BC in Samios, an Aegean island.
He left Samios at the age of 18 to study in Phoenicia, Egypt, and possibly Babylonia. Pythagoras was well known for his exploration of new ideas, one with mathematical thinking.
It was called the Pythagorean Theorem. However, he also founded a school in Croton that stressed four disciplines: number theory, music, geometry, and astronomy.
In his school, he exchanged a variety of ideas with the followers, which were called Pythagoreans. Pythagoras and his followers believed in many things,
one of which was reincarnation. Pythagoras believed he had memories of his past lives, which helped him develop this theory of reincarnation.
As we learned in our Skype conversation with Professor Carl Huffman, people followed Pythagoras for this reason as they encountered his ideas.
Pythagoras set himself up as an expert on what happens to you after you die, and an expert on the fate of your soul after you die. He believed in reincarnation, or the Greek word for it is metempsychosis, big word. And that means that after you die, you don't completely die, you're reborn again, either as another person or as an animal.
They were also very disciplined and followed strict rules for the group. For example, all members had to be vegetarians and were not allowed to write down or share the beliefs of the group with others. They were also not allowed to wear wool since they came from an animal.
They thought the very worst thing was anarchy. That'd be lack of rules, lack of laws, right? And so they thought, for instance, that if you followed Pythagoras, you were told that you had to believe the gods existed. Because if you believed the gods existed, then you would think the gods were watching you, and so you wouldn't do bad things, right? He also said that if you followed him, you had to obey all the laws of your country, because those were good restrictions. They kept you from going too far. You were also supposed to obey your parents and follow your parents for the same reason. Pythagoreans were also famous for the Pythagorean way of life. You learned to be silent. You were famous for not saying many things. They're like me. I'm talking a lot, right? But and they were famous for being able to be quiet and not talk all the time. And this was, again, they were controlling themselves. And they were supposed to not ever do anything for the sake of pleasure. Again, you're supposed to be self-control. Going for pleasure makes you lose control of yourself. So you were supposed to do things only because they were noble or good, or because they were advantageous in some way. And finally, they said you were supposed to be a good friend. Friendship was very important to them. And so they said to be a good friend, you should never be in competition with your friends. And you should never abandon your friends unless they became really, really evil. You should always be a loyal friend and stay with them and never be the cause of a breach in friendship. So there were all these rules about how you should live your life that I've just given you, and people liked those rules.
Pythagoras and his followers believed that everything could be explained mathematically. For example, they found a mathematical explanation for music, which was that when dividing a string and plucking it with your fingers and applying the same tension, exactly half of a note would be heard.
That note would be exactly one octave higher than the other note, as you can hear in the following example. Pythagoras was highly influential during his life.
In addition, the ideas he exchanged with others influenced those who encountered his ideas even after he died. The exchange and development of Pythagoras' philosophies had great influence on generations to come. In fact, other philosophers like Plato and Aristotle followed some of his ideas.
In conclusion, Pythagoras explored new ideas. When people encountered these ideas, he gained more followers, and through the exchange of ideas, Pythagoras and his followers developed new ways of looking at life.
Bye.